It is January 1st, 2016, and I am in Budapest, Hungary. So, Angela Merkel recently gave her end-of-year address to the German nation. And in that address, she encouraged the Germans to look at the migrants who are flooding into the country, tsunami-like, as an opportunity. Now, talk about putting a flower on top of a pile of manure. This woman allowed 1.1 million people, 1.1 million Arabs and Africans and people from other regions of the world to pour into her country. That's almost 2% of the population of the country in 1 year alone. You know, demographic change like that, at that scale, has rarely been seen in the history of mankind. I mean, this is a very rapid change in the demographic makeup of Germany, and it all resulted from policies that this woman pushed through. At first, she was caught completely unawares as to what was going on. I don't think she realized the scope of the problem. Then she brought down the migration barriers and introduced an open-ended, open borders, open-ended migration policy for Syrians and all sorts of migrants from these from all these failed societies. Just hopped on board these policies for the benefit supposedly of the Syrians, with untold numbers of them claiming to be Syrians, and the Pakistanis were claiming to be Syrians. Absolutely insane. Just flooding into Greece and just going up the Balkan route, ending up in Germany, collecting welfare probably for the next 3 generations. Hundreds of thousands, at this stage, millions of people. What's going to happen in 2016? What is the plan? Now Angela Merkel, in the address to her party, she said that migrant numbers need to be dramatically reduced. Okay, fair enough. But, how's she going to do that without completely reversing her policies and adopting the policies that have been implemented elsewhere in Europe, and they were initially roundly condemned by people like her, such as the policies of the Hungarian government, which was basically to lift up fences and introduce very heavy penalties for illegal immigration. Now, those policies worked. There are no migrants here in Budapest. Barely any. You barely see them. Whereas during the summer, the city was just overwhelmed with these people who are now feeding off Germany's public troll. Now, how's she going to do that? This is, unless she implements a complete reversal of her policies, how is she going to do that? And she says that multiculturalism is no good. Okay, fine. That's what she says in the address to her political party. How's she going to force these migrants who are not German to adopt so-called German values, whatever they are? Different people have different characteristics. They have different outlooks on the world. They are made differently. They have different personalities. They have different tendencies, different predilections, different religions, different everything. I mean, she does not appreciate the diversity of the human species. What is she? How's she gonna turn all these people into Germans? You can't. Who is she? God? Oh yeah. I know. She's gonna make. She's going to make all these migrants sign a little piece of paper that says that, they're going to learn German and they're going to respect German values, including, feminism and tolerance for homosexuality and whatever German values are now stand for. I mean, what a charade. In Norway and other regions of the world, I mean, they're even other regions of Northern Europe, they're even offering. I mean, this just shows you how these people who are not accustomed to diversity do not understand other people and other cultures. But just listen to this. They're giving classes on how not to rape women to these migrants. I mean, that's just the wildest concept ever. I mean, first of all, if you need to give classes to somebody, and the content of those classes is how not to rape, perhaps you should not be keeping company with those people. That's the first thing. Second of all, rape is not something that you teach people not to do. You either have, as a male, the predisposition or the taste for raping, or you do not. I mean, it's really just as easy as that. I mean, these people who are pushing these programs, they have no understanding. It's as if these migrants were space aliens to them, and they would obviously not offer this type of class to a native Norwegian. But it's the same mentality. Now Norway recently adopted what are supposed to be the toughest migrant policies in the entire Europe. Or that should make Norway one of the least migrant-friendly countries in Europe. A 180-degree change again, and Sweden is doing what Viktor Orban did here in Hungary. I mean, it's building fences all the way to Denmark. You cannot take a train from Denmark into Sweden without showing your papers. And the entire, the train stations are being redesigned to, make sure that you don't get away with that. But it's a lot of these people who push for left-leaning solutions to the migrant crisis. I mean, there's the left-leaning solutions are just no solutions at all. I mean, it's just basically an invitation to be just invaded, completely invaded, and your country being completely taken over. But it just shows a level of incompetence combined with an acknowledgement of that incompetence when these lofty-minded politicians, adopt policies that are 180 degrees different from what they initially advocated. When the chickens come home to roost and the consequences of their previous policies become apparent. In the case of Germany, we're talking about 1.1 million people there in Germany, just in 2015. 2016, there will probably be a greater number than that, unless there's a complete rethinking of policies and of attitudes and you know, towards migrants, because the way migration works and chain migration works is that person X moves into the country, and that person X brings in any number of people, brings in four people, and each of those people who settle into the country and realize how convenient everything is, and how, you know, in the case of the Netherlands, for example, about 65% of the migrants from the 1990s are still on welfare. So, you know, news spreads around quickly, and everybody who comes in can be expected to bring in, you know, their own relatives, their own cousins, brothers, sisters, wives. You know, nobody wants to stay in Africa or in the Middle East when, you know, you have that type of deal on the table. And you know, it has nothing to do with hatred or anything of that sort, to just say, you know, this is crazy. This is not sustainable. This is not in our interest as Europeans. We don't want this, and you know, we're going to show an iron fist against this type of thing going on, because, you know, 1.1 million last year, 2015, into Germany alone. How many this year and the next year? How many in 2017? Because the numbers are not going to go down. They're going to go up and up and up. And suddenly, you know, 1 million a year is going to seem like a pretty modest level when numbers start going really crazy. And you know, the only way of stopping that is having you know, an iron fist, and just having the bravery of speaking out and saying, you know, guys, this is not in our interest. And you know, saying things that may be unkind, that you would not normally say, but you know, you can say a lot of nasty things about other groups of people. You don't normally say them, not because they're not true. You don't say them because, you know, you're kind and considerate. But you know, if you have to speak out, you got to speak out, and you got to really assert your interest as a group, as a community, as a nation. And you know, the consequences be damned if you know, other people don't appreciate it. If they get angry or outraged, so be it. It's nothing to do with as you know, Angela Merkel in her end of year address to the country said that the Germans should not listen to people with hatred in their hearts. Man, what hatred, woman? There's no hatred here. This is not hatred. It's just a cold analysis of self-interest, of conflicting self-interests. You know, obviously all these migrants want to come over by the millions. Endless supply of them. And obviously, for the Germans, this is not good. This is terrible. They're going to lose their country. They're going to lose every institution. They're going to lose every school. They're going to lose all their, you know, tax money. I mean, they're already spending 20 billion a year on these people. It's not hatred. It is a choice, a binary choice between stupidity, which is what, you know, following Angela Merkel's policies will lead you to that state of being, of being a complete moron, or having making an intelligent decision as to what's just best for you and best for your children and grandchildren. It's really it. It's really that simple. All right, take care, guys.